I was experiencing one of the worst nights of my life. I was so scared that I ran into my bedroom and locked myself in. I used my whole body against the door to prevent him from further entering the room. And before I knew it, he punched a hole right through the door. He used so much force that I was cut and blood was dripping down from my forehead. And the worst part of that being, when I looked down, I noticed that I had red marks on my pregnant belly. Each time that I was abused, I was completely robbed of any sense of who I was. I felt so ashamed, and I hid my truth from the people I loved most. Until one day, I finally hit rock bottom, and I had to hold my daughter's hand as we walked into a domestic violence shelter for women and children. Years and years of abuse came crashing down, but I also felt a weight lifted. This was my opportunity to build my strength back from a lifetime of abuse. And my exposure to abuse started at a very early age, which ultimately resulted in my mother, my siblings, and I evicted from our home. We were forced to live out of a U-Haul in a 2-bedroom apartment with relatives. And as I got older, sports was my only outlet. And even though I was a popular athlete in school, I buried the truth of my home life. I concealed my pain with this happy-go-lucky attitude and pretended as if everything was perfectly normal. But the truth of the matter was, I was suffering immensely, and I even contemplated suicide. Ironically enough, after high school, I found myself in an abusive relationship. And I adopted that same disguise and wore it throughout the 6.5 years of abuse that I endured. In the shelter, I learned the prerequisite for any chance of beginning again was forgiveness. I had to strip myself of all the bullshit, and because I realized that his way of still controlling me lied in the bitterness, resentment, and blame that I was still harboring inside. And I finally let that go. I was no longer a victim. I survived. In that moment, I took full responsibility of my life and my daughter's in that moment. By taking my power back, completely changed the trajectory of our lives. And so I would like to leave you with this. Be willing to love yourself through all of it and teach your children to do the same.